Live from the studios of NBC 12 and ABC 25, this is First Coast News at 5.
Joseph joined the military to serve. That's part of his beliefs as a Christian. Joseph is a father and a husband to serve his family. That's who this young man was. It was all about him serving.
No parent should ever have to bury their own child. Today, as you heard there from a Jacksonville father, he talked about his son, a Marine who died in a military plane crash in Mississippi. I would say he was strong, yet emotional, as he described the son he lost in that crash earlier this week. You could definitely tell his heart was hurting.
Oh, it was heartbreaking listening to him to talk today. 26-year-old Joseph Murray was among the 16 people killed in that crash on Monday. Murray went to high school here in Jacksonville. He still has family and in-laws in our area. And First Coast News' Jason Rantala has more from his family tonight. And Jason, we heard his dad today talk about how his son was a wonderful young man of God.
Well, Heather, the point that Joe's father drove home today was this, that just about an hour ago here in Fort Caroline, was that Joe was on this planet to serve. He was here doing that as part of being a Christian, and he said that the focus in Joe's life was his family and his kids. Now, this all, like we said, happened about an hour ago here at Ed Austin Park. Terry says Joe was a father of 4, 3 boys and 1 girl between the ages of 1 to 5. Terry says Joe was a man of God and lived to do the right thing. Joe was born in California, grew up in Guantanamo Bay, came to Jacksonville when he was 10, and was a graduate of Sandalwood High School. He was a surfer kid, appropriately enough for living in Jacksonville. Joe was the one that friends reached out to for help, his father said. It didn't matter what he was doing, Joe was there. He says Joe lived to serve. Serving was part of his faith, which is exactly why he joined the military.
He served in the Marine Corps for me and for you. He wasn't in the Marine Corps for retirement or for pay or to go see wonderful places in the country. He was there to serve others.
Now, as far as any further details of the plane crash, Terry says all he knows is what's been reported in the media. And if you do want to help the family, he's saying that you can send donations for the kids, for instance, to their church. That's at 680 Mayport Road. We'll, of course, put that on our website. Now, there are no funeral arrangements yet, but we're told, of course, that in these instances that there will likely be a large funeral of everybody here involved. But for now, we're live here in Fort Caroline. Jason Rantala, First Coast News.
We are keeping his family in our thoughts and prayers. Jason, thank you. A homeless man has been arrested in connection to a sexual battery in Jacksonville Beach on Tuesday. Police arrested this man, Archie Brown, after the alleged victim told police she'd fallen asleep on the beach and woke up and was assaulted by Brown. He was identified by the victim and also several witnesses who had seen him that night. Now, according to those witnesses, Brown approached them asking for money and saying a woman was accusing him of rape. Tonight, he's being held in the Duval County Jail.
Developing right now, a man is rescued after falling off a dock into Big Fishweir Creek in Fairfax. Now, this all happened off Woodmere Drive this afternoon. JFRD found the man struggling in the water. The firefighters rescued the man and took him to the hospital. Now, we're still trying to learn more on how he's doing at this hour.
Tonight, a memorial service will be held for a mother who was killed in a boating accident over the weekend. 42-year-old Jody Nessie was killed after being struck by a boat propeller in St. Augustine. She leaves behind her husband and 3 children. She worked at Plantation Oaks Elementary School in Clay County, and since her death, there has just been an overwhelming response on social media from the community. An online fundraiser has now surpassed its goal of $20,000 to help her family. At last check, more than almost $30,000 has been raised. Tonight, a candlelight memorial will take place at 8 o'clock at Coppergate Elementary School. Today would have been her 43rd birthday.
And grief counselors were at Plantation Oaks Elementary School after an 8-year-old boy was killed in a car accident in the Oakleaf area.
And FDOT already making changes to that accident site to the intersection of Argyle Forest Boulevard and State Road 23. That is where the 8-year-old was killed. Now, the woman driving and the 10-year-old girl in the car, they were also injured in the accident when a car hit them as they were making a left turn. Now that intersection tonight has a new light to help protect drivers who were making a left turn.
Definitely seeing progress out there to prevent another tragedy. Let's talk about this weather. Heather, another hot day.
It has been a scorcher out there. Let's check it now with meteorologist Lauren Routenkrantz.
Hi, Heather and Anthony. It is really nice out there today. I mean, lots of sunshine. Those temperatures really seasonable in the upper 80s, lower 90s. Get this, we're going to see much more sunshine in the way of the next several days. Satellite and radar shows that sea breeze keeping the coast nice and clear. A few fair weather cumulus clouds, but like I said, a nice helping of sunshine this afternoon. Really, as far as any downpours go, they're just kind of popping up and then disappearing for the most part across northeast Florida and southeast Georgia. Valdosta seeing a rumble of thunder or two, but for the most part, everything else has quieted down across the area. So as we head into this evening, we're going to see nice conditions for the Armada game. 84 degrees, hot for the stands, for the fans in the stands, taking on Puerto Rico once again. If you remember their last game in Puerto Rico, 0-0. So let's go for the Armada tonight. UNF's Hodges Stadium is where that game takes place. We'll begin to see some clouds move in tonight, though, and possibly some patchy inland fog by tomorrow morning. I've got the rest of your 7-day forecast, and get this, we're already looking ahead to the weekend that's coming up, Heather.
Thank you, Lauren. Well, the Duval County School District says it is going into next school year with millions of dollars less than expected.
But they say that they do have a plan to cover that cost. Our Shelby Danielson is live with a breakdown of the numbers and how this will impact the district going forward. Shelby.
Well, as kids are out enjoying their last month of summer, DCPS school members are trying to figure out how to handle a major deficit left over from last year. How major? $12 million. And this is something they were not expecting. So we spoke with board member Scott Shine today. He says they met earlier this week to come up with a plan, and he says it's a plan they all support.
This year was a problem year.
DCPS school board member Scott Shine says the problem didn't materialize until a couple weeks ago.
We didn't know until the books were being closed out that we had used that money. So we had the money to cover that, but it was money we expected to roll into this year, the upcoming school year, and that put us in a bit of a cramp.
$12 million short, but after meeting this week, he says they have a plan. They are using $9.5 million from their reserves, taking advantage of district cuts, pulling a combined $2.5 million from Title I and Title II funding, and another $100,000 from general district funds.
You know, that money is sitting on the shelf waiting for an emergency. And I think that what we're seeing with our budget right now this year is an emergency.
Not helping the problem is the fact that more money is now being allotted to charter schools. Money they say they need to solve their $150 million maintenance bill. Plus, some money is still in flux in the district.
Now there is the problem of whether or not we can fund these programs as we have in the past.
Because of that, some nonprofit funders are threatening to pull their support. In a letter to school board members, they wrote in part, if it's not important enough to the district to fund, then the private community will rightfully question why private money should be allocated.
We are cutting back this year, and that's what everybody needs to know. We're not going to be able to provide the level of service we had up to this point, but I think what you're going to see are a lot of the same good things happening. We're going to need to get back to standard next year.
So while, as you heard, there are downfalls to this plan, he says it at least erases that deficit and will help them break even. Now, Scott Shine also says something they need to do moving forward is have better financial accountability, because if they had been tracking this closer throughout the year, then they wouldn't have been surprised or caught off guard by this huge number a couple of weeks ago. We'll be following up, of course. Back to you guys.
Shelby Danielson tonight, thank you. The Florida Department of Corrections has found an inmate after he managed to escape from Bridges of Jacksonville this morning. Michael Land was captured by JSO after about an hour-long search. He was a community custody inmate, had very little time left on his sentence. No word yet on what new charges he will be facing. One man is dead after a shooting in northwest Jacksonville. It happened early this morning.
And it happened in the Moncrief area around 2 o'clock to be exact. Our Alex Osiris has been following this story for us, and he joins us now with what he learned.
Police still looking for that shooter. They tell us that the victim was found just around 2 o'clock this morning around 31st and Myrtle, only identified as a man in his late teens to 20s. JSO says that the victim was shot in the upper body, found near a sidewalk where he was pronounced dead. The area was taped off for hours. Police speaking with neighbors, hoping to piece together some information about what happened. Now, we were here as officers were taking pictures and placing evidence markers at the scene. They're still not releasing any information about any suspect. We're continuing to follow this story. From the Northwest Side, Alex Ositis, First Coast News.
An Alachua County deputy is facing charges for allegedly threatening a woman with a gun. Officials say it happened around 3 a.m. at the victim's home in Gainesville.
And they say during an argument, Deputy Joseph Spearing threatened to kill the woman and himself and actually pointed a gun in his mouth. Now, the woman called 911 and Spearing was taken into custody. And this is the second time in less than a year he's been arrested. He's been on the force for about 3 years. The Alachua County Sheriff's Office says Spearing is on administrative leave during the investigation. All right, take a look at this. We have an update for you with the final steel beam in place. The vertical construction is now complete on the new Baptist MD Anderson Cancer Center. Construction workers on the center wrote messages, as you see right there on the beam, and signed their names before installing the steel. And although there is still plenty of work to be done with the topping out of the building complete, today marks a milestone for the $150 million expansion.
This is a transformative moment as we complete this physical building in providing state-of-the-art cancer care to the persons not only of the greater Jacksonville area, but to the broader region of our country.
The grand opening of the new center is scheduled to take place, we're told, sometime next summer.
Well, a great addition to the First Coast.
Yes, it is.
It is really devastating news for any parent to ever hear that your child has cancer. One local pizza owner felt helpless, but he decided to turn his pain into inspiration. And coming up, you'll see how he's using food to help other families in need. It's an incredible story.
And you may have seen an increase of tire shreds along the streets and highways because it's just been so hot. And many of you wonder if that is because of the heat. Well, after the break, we take a look at the relation between temperatures and tire blowouts. You have to see this in just a few minutes.
The first medical marijuana dispensary in Duval County opens its doors. Coming up, what it looks like inside and how patients say it's improving their lives.